All right, today we're going to dive into long-term wealth building and the strategies that you need to take and or look at, because in reality, copying the rich is always the way to riches. Never mind inflation, never mind the price of Bitcoin. Right now, what you're looking for is a long-term horizon. We're going to dive a little deeper on that today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into a couple of things around where crypto is going, especially for the wealthy. There's a recent report out that really dives in deep on how the wealthy are creating strategies to essentially run, I feel like it's almost like an end run for crypto assets. And we'll break down all of that. Also take a look at some trends that really kind of lean into exactly what this report is saying. I want to jump to the first thing, and that is that the Nielsen report shows crypto sports partnerships are really kind of a perfect fit. When I show you some of the charts here, you'll get an understanding of where the potential growth is for the wealthy. And many people, if you've read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, if you've looked at any of the really great ideas around many of the innovators in finance on YouTube or some of the books that are out there, that if you just have a roster of great long-term investment classes, whether you look at some of the macro investing from Raoul Pal in the crypto space, many of these people are looking toward what are the big classes of investors that are starting to move in the space. And this is a good example right here when it shows that crypto sports partnerships are really kind of a perfect fit, really more in the sense of targeting the right kind of consumer or the right kind of investor. 5 years ago, the idea of leading sports teams partnering with a crypto company, pretty much unheard of. Obviously, we've seen this absolutely explode over the past few years. And this is no longer the case, obviously, what they're saying. But if you look at kind of the comparison here with crypto and blockchain, 1,100% increase, 81% increase in automotive, insurance down a little bit, and then airlines, of course, taking the back seat. No pun intended. Recently, crypto industry saw renaming of the industry's Staples Center to the Crypto.com Arena, $700 million deal that kind of took everybody surprise. And then there's been more prominent partnerships since then, like Alchemy Pay, which is an official partner of the leading Spanish soccer team, the Real Betis. And those are two major sports areas. Now, the reason I think the strategy clearly is designed at attracting this emerging set of investors that are looking at long-term wealth building. And that is really kind of the focus of a lot of these different exchanges. FTX, same kind of scenario. If you look at what Crypto.com is doing, Coinbase to a certain extent, more and more movement in this space. And I think eventually you'll see more and more kind of pointing at it from projects like Robinhood, what's happening there with their own wallet release, which happens, I think, this month. Some of our guys actually have been able to get that. So what this boils down to is, why are these sponsorships important? They kind of talk a little bit here about it. Things like crypto payments for sports merchandise, tickets, salaries being paid in crypto, still a long way away. However, they're closer than we anticipate. The partnership between Alchemy, though, was kind of a good example of a sponsorship deal that further propels crypto in sports. Alchemy is a crypto payments gateway, and their interest into the industry was by partner with Betis to open up possibility of crypto payments in the future. And I think this is something that we will see more and more of. Recent news, and I'll probably do a video on this, with Stripe and them starting to utilize crypto coming back into the fray, because they actually did something like this back in, I think it was 2015, 2016. And they themselves are starting to partner up with projects and exchanges like FTX. All of this is pointing in the right direction. But again, it boils down to who are these wealthy individuals that are really making a play for it. And this report, let me kind of jump to it here, was by WealthX, Applied Wealth Intelligence. Now, I'll scan through quite a few of the pages, but what I want to get to is a couple of sectors here. What they're looking at is wealthy individuals, net worth of $5 million or more, wealthy crypto founders, which are obviously people within the space, and then wealthy individuals with a general interest in crypto. So it's what I call the crypto curious. When you break down these three categories, you've got a massive growth of an opportunity within the crypto space to really lead out the pack. Now remember, if you've ever read the book Influentials, The Influentials, I would recommend it, because it's like a book that 1 in 10 people are pretty much the core influencers within their communities, their religious areas like churches, etc., their PTAs, their social groups, all those kind of things have a lead individual, and it could either be someone that's wealthy and or someone that has a high amount of intelligence that's able to understand trends and adapt them and adopt them sooner than others. And a lot of this is where this is leading in this report. One of the other things I wanted to showcase here was kind of this chart right here. Very entrepreneurial. So this is the 3 categories that they look at that are showing the most interest in crypto investment. Wealthy crypto founders and investors, inherently self-made, 94% self-made here. And then wealthy individuals with a general interest in crypto, 88.6%, self-made also, but 10% inherited or self-made. And then general wealthy, a lot less on self-made, a lot more obviously on inherited money, so long-term money. But the point being is that self-made wealthy individuals appear to be the most likely to be looking at these kinds of adoptions. So if you are an exchange, whether you're a project, maybe you're a gaming company, whatever it might be, that you're trying to look at some of those lead potential investors from a retail side of things, because remember, part of this is going to come on a one-to-one retail investment opportunity, more so until we see an ETF start to hit the market. Once we see an ETF hit the market, that changes everything, because you're going to start to see a lot different kind of investor starting to move in the space. So big term, I think big potentials here as we go forward, I think, in terms of where the future of investing in crypto is going to be going. One of the things that's going to lean into this is the age population. So if you look at this chart right here, age population, wealthy crypto investors, average age 47.4 years, wealthy 53.7, and then generally wealthy population at 60.5. So still a fairly older crowd. Obviously, you have to be somewhat aged to be able to qualify in these categories of a $5 million net worth. But the point being is that a lot of these people are, in essence, really moving in on the space. And I think this average age of 53.7 and below is a very critical point, because there's going to be a lot in the way of long-term investing in things like crypto IRAs, in things like projects that are getting started, and then of course the typical top 100 tokens, and then some of the major metaverse projects. All these people are looking at these potential opportunities for investment. There was a couple other charts here I wanted to kind of show you guys. This one right here was interested in tech and music, and then they get into some other categories which kind of leans back into the sports scenario. So these are the top 8 interest areas, passions, and hobbies that are ranked by popularity based on wealthy crypto founders and investors. Tech, obviously, number 1. Sports was number 2, which I was kind of surprised that it was that high. And then you can kind of see music number 4. But when you get into wealthy individuals with a general interest, this is the one that's very important to me. Sports is number 1, tech is number 2, and then you've got philanthropy number 3. Same thing here with general. Sports number 1, philanthropy number 2, and then you kind of go on. And look where tech is going right down here. Music doesn't even show up in here on general wealthy. So very interesting when you think about psychology approach toward investing, or looking at different aspects of how to invest and what are some of the key things that you need in terms of a wealthy individual to kind of say, hey, this is what I'm going to do in terms of my strategy. A lot of that is done by life experiences. And I think a lot of people are getting back into that as we will continue to see more and more of wealthy individuals really leaning in on crypto, and also just the general digital asset class that we're seeing, whether it's NFTs, digital asset investment in gameplay, things like that, maybe a little bit slower just with the fact of the uptake. Again, I think it leans into the crypto curious, but one of the categories I think is going to lead the way on all of this is going to be in the crypto IRA side of things. And that is, of course, one of the leading companies out here. One of our partners is I Trust Capital. And one thing they've done, which even surprises me, is now the value of this company is $1.3 billion after their first fundraising round. To me, this is insanely bullish for any kind of investment house that is looking at long-term IRAs, and IRAs especially built on crypto. When you look at what they said in this report, this was kind of interesting. It's coming over from Barron's, no relation. But this came from the, part of it is due to tax benefits. Young customers investing in crypto should use a Roth IRA if they qualify. This is Southwick, their CEO. If you have the account for 40 years, it's going to be gigantic. But his point was right here, this is Southwick. This is not isn't his first startup. He's a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneurial. He's launched several, helmed other companies. And when you look at how he's looking at this space, this is monumental life achievement in his perspective, from the company's perspective. It proves that they obviously were right about the size and the scale of the market, which is what we're talking about here. When we look at the scale of where crypto is going, and you look at the major asset classes in which these opportunities reside currently. Today, there's not many places for these wealthy individuals, especially the crypto curious, to invest. They either have to do things like watching our show, or they have to get in and really dive deep and go down the rabbit hole of understanding what they're investing in, because there's not the ETF in play. Many of the asset class managers that they're working with on lower level, especially on like family office level or individual investor level, they're not really tuned in and read into what's happening in the full market of crypto. So the next best place is, hey, let's park a little bit into things like IRAs, things of that nature. So this is going to be interesting. If you do want to get into the IRA with iTrust, just jump over to itrustcapital.com. You'll find them. The one thing I do like about what they've done here recently is kind of interesting, and that is the number of things that you can invest in. Obviously, security, institutional grade crypto custody, another big factor of why they're growing so crazy. But the big one to me is this right here, and that is availability of tokens. Because if you are going to look at long-term investing, you need a very well-balanced portfolio. I think there has to be a certain amount in traditional altcoins, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I think you need a certain percentage of your total liquid assets into things like metaverse, gaming, etc. And then I think you secure things into your high, risk assets. They don't necessarily get into high risk, but if you look at their overall tokens that are available, Axie kind of being one of the leaders right there. Obviously, it was hot. But if you look at, you've got Algorand in here, Cosmos, which is a big one, Tezos, Engine, which I like, Solana you can also get, Polygon, obviously, even Yearn Finance, some DeFi projects, also with DEXs, with Sushi. And then, of course, you get into the big boys like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Polkadot, etc. So again, Axie Infinity and Decentraland coming in really around this state. I do see more and more going in this direction, though, for sure. And if you look at things like what Kevin O'Leary is doing right here, millions of dollars now invested into crypto. And I think when you look at what Kevin is doing, and one of the things that I've watched him on several podcasts and really kind of looked at his overall strategy right now, his estimated net worth, setting it around 400 million, I think. Yeah, 400 million. Said his crypto exposure was 10%, has an estimated net worth of 400 million. So 40 million into this is pretty significant considering what he's looking to do, I think, in the long term. I anticipate guys like this to continue to track up the rabbit hole and start to continue to move more and more liquid assets into this class, into this investment class, as we see a lot of growth going in it. Future of cryptocurrency. This was 5 experts in their prediction after the breakthrough 2021. Obviously, we saw all the things happening there. There's a couple of things in here I wanted to kind of flow in on. Crypto regulation, obviously, we'll see that coming in now here with Biden's update and his executive order. Kind of somewhat bullish. And even though we are having some struggles with what we're seeing in terms of inflation and the CPI numbers, not our crypto power index, but the consumer price index, is up around over 6%. So we are seeing some very serious inflation. To me, that is where crypto shines. That's where we're going to start to see people hedging, especially these wealthy individuals, because they are not going to sit back and watch these millions and millions of dollars continue to fall in terms of inflation. In essence, $100 million worth 7.5% less in a year from now versus trying to do something in a strategic asset class like crypto to really kind of take it to the next level. The other thing that I talked about earlier is the crypto ETF approval. If this gets in, there's already been a major breakthrough on this front. This was, of course, the Bitcoin ETF making its debut on the New York Stock Exchange. And I think, though, we've got to have the spot ETF really at play here. This is the way that I think it will really take it up to the next level. That's a big factor. And of course, the other thing I want you to take a look at is look at some of these statistics right here, crypto stats that are pretty impressive. This was December of last year. Global crypto market cap was 2.2 trillion. We're down below that now, about 1.718 trillion. The average crypto daily trading volume, 120 billion, still very, very respectable. Bitcoin still dominance, and that's holding it above 40%. Here's where it gets interesting. 43% of Americans ages 18 to 29. This is important, 18 to 29. Almost half of the American population has invested in cryptocurrency. That to me is absolutely a bullish sign because a lot of these younger people are starting to lean in. Now, sure, they're not in that wealthy class just yet because they haven't had enough work-life experience. But for us to see that kind of adoption rate, pretty big. Over 32% of small businesses in the US say they'll accept cryptocurrency. This was another blow-up number for me because 32% is very significant when you think about the kinds of businesses. But cryptocurrency definitely on the rise there. After the pandemic hit, the price of Bitcoin went from 6 to 60. This was in a 12-month range. In 2020, there are over 8,000 currencies out there. Obviously, we have to worry about the scams that are out there. And then, of course, the market is predicted to grow at an annual rate of 13% until 2030. We haven't seen many double-digit growth sectors like cryptocurrency that are extending out that long. So I think a lot of this really kind of leans into, as I said, what is the future of where this is going and what does this look like when you think about the overall market and what the market is going to hold in the future. One of the things that I would say as you start to move into understanding how to do wealth building, whether it is an IRA, whether you're going at maybe some yield platforms like a Celsius or maybe even a Voyager, somewhere where you can get yields, crypto.com, the strategy here is long-term. And that's really kind of the message for today's video is that the strategy behind what you're doing on investing, if you're looking at trading, that's a whole different strategy model. You need to be a good TA, and there's very few good TA traders out there. But when you look at long-term hodling, that is the model and that is the way to take it. And again, IRAs, getting into high yields, and then getting into the solid projects that you like, understand, and are willing to stay in for the long term. Again, you're building life wealth, just like if you were buying real estate or investing in long-term stocks. This is really, in my opinion, no different. Sure, there's a lot of volatility. Absolutely. Definitely not investment advice. But the point is, hopefully a lot of this stuff is going to get you on the right direction on your research and what you need to be doing to be looking at building internal wealth around both yourself and your family. So, of course, if you're listening in over on the podcast right now, make sure and give us a like. Spotify is absolutely blowing up for us. So thanks a lot for all the guys over there on TechPath Crypto. And if you want to find out more and more of our analytics side of things, where we break down the CPI data, which is our crypto power index, we do a lot of analysis on that. Right here on the YouTube channel is the way to go. Just search Paul Barron Network. You'll find us over here. Like and subscribe to a couple of videos. You'll start getting notifications of when we do our live streams, which we do a ton of. Make sure and join the Diamond Circle. It's the easiest way to get in to the club. We do a lot of drops. We do some give backs too. We do some rewards back to our audience and a ton of insights around data and analytics for the crypto space. If you want to reach me, it's out on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.